March 1945. The Battle of Lubang Island in the Philippines is already over for everyone else, but Second Lieutenant Hiro Onoda still doesn't know that he is a 23-year-old man as thin as a blade's eye, with the certainty that only the Imperial Japanese Army can carve a man. His orders are simple and absolute, until the Army never returns under the Lubang War operations. The conditions are that he will die by his own hand or give himself up. He salutes, disappears into the woods with 3 recruits, Corporal Shochi Shimada, Private Yuichi Akatsu, Private First Class Kinseichi Kozuka, 4 rifles, 1,000 rounds, every few grenades, a sword, and the emperors will bring all the pictures. They will return with the army. They swear their lives to them. The first months are easy. They raid Filipino villages at night to burn rice. They patrol and ambush police posts. The locals call them ghosts. American planes drop leaflets. The war is over. August 15th, 1945. They get out. Onoda reads. The paper smells. He checks the ink. He does grammar. He burns every American propaganda. Hidden in the mountains, camps, plant gardens, trap sweet potatoes, wild boars. Time becomes a circle. Patrol eats. Sleepy patrol. Rainy season, dry season, rainy season. Then 1949 begins to fade. The first crack appears. Private Akatsu is tired. He misses his mother. One morning he leaves a note. I'm going to surrender. He walks alone up the mountain and doesn't hate it. Akatsu liked the dead in his mind. The traitors are already dead. Only 3 are left. They tighten their belts, sharpen their bayonets, and wait for the army that never comes. 1952. Loudspeakers echo in the valleys. This time Japanese voices, not American. Hiro, Kinsei, Shochi, your family is waiting. Come home. Onoda hears the trigger sound at the sound of his old brother. The Americans forced his brother to speak. He ordered his men to move camp that very night. They disappeared high into the clouds. They now live like animals, but the uniforms of disciplined animals rot from their bodies. They sew new ones from rice sacks. Their shoes break. They wrap their feet in cloth. Their teeth turn black from lack of salt. Still they drill and drill every morning on their map, whatever paper they can find, cigarette wrappers, pages of American booklets torn from school books. Each entry ends as ordered, waiting for aid. 1954. A search party climbs the mountain with megaphones and banners. They carry photographs of Onoda's parents holding signs that read, Hiro, your father is dying. Please come home. The men hide in the brush. Onoda watches through binoculars. The old man in the photo looks exactly like his father, but the banner is too clean, the letters too perfect. Americans can forge anything, he whispers to Kozuka and Shimada. They wait until night, then slip away, leaving no trace. 1959, another attempt. This time the Japanese government officially declares Second Lieutenant Hiro Onoda dead. They hold a funeral in his hometown. His mother weeps into a black kimono. The priest burns incense. The entire village mourns. Onoda never hears about it. He's busy ambushing a police patrol. 2 officers die. 1 escapes. The locals now offer 10,000 pesos for his head. He laughs when he hears the rumor. Money means nothing here. Only duty matters. 1962. Shimada steps on a farmer's trap. A sharpened bamboo spike drives through his foot. Infection sets in fast. No medicine, no doctor, just jungle herbs and hot blades. Shimada burns with fever for weeks. Onoda sits beside him, wiping sweat, reciting the rescript to soldiers. You must endure hardship without complaint. Shimada nods weakly. Then one morning, he is cold. Onoda and Kozuka dig a grave under a breadfruit tree. They bury him with full military honors. 3 rifle volleys into the air, a final salute. Now only 2 remain. The jungle feels bigger, emptier, but the mission continues. 1965, helicopters circle, dropping bundles wrapped in plastic. Inside are letters from Onoda's brother, Toshio. I am alive. I climbed this mountain myself. Hiro, please answer. Onoda reads the letter by firelight. The handwriting is perfect. But why would his brother cooperate with the enemy? He burns the letter. The next day they shoot down a helicopter with a rifle. The pilot survives and runs. The locals say the ghosts are still angry. 1968, Kozuka is 63 years old. His hands shake when he cleans his rifle, but his eyes are steady. They raid a rice drying yard at night. A farmer spots them, fires a shotgun. Kozuka returns fire. The farmer dies. Police swarm the mountain for weeks. Onoda and Kozuka play cat and mouse, living on rainwater and wild bananas. Then, October 1972, a firefight near the beach. Kozuka stands to throw a grenade. A police bullet takes him in the chest. He falls without a sound. Onoda drags the body into the bush, buries his last comrade under ferns and vines. He salutes, alone for the first time in 27 years. Hiro Onoda is completely alone, but the orders still stand. Never surrender. Hold the island, await relief. He sharpens his bayonet, cleans his rifle, checks the remaining ammunition. 163 rounds left, enough for another 30 years if needed. He whispers to the empty camp, I will continue the mission. 1972, the news explodes across Japan. Young Japanese police officer killed by an old ghost on Lubang. The newspapers scream, last soldier of World War II still fighting. The government is embarrassed. The world is stunned. Tokyo sends a delegation, university students, hippies, journalists. Everyone wants to find the man who refuses to believe the war is over. Onoda reads their newspapers when he finds them abandoned in the villages. The headlines make him laugh. The war ended 27 years ago. Impossible. The emperor would never surrender. He tears the pages, uses them for toilet paper or to start fires. 1973, a Japanese college student named Norio Suzuki, 22 years old, dropout adventurer, tells his friends, I am going to find 3 things: the giant panda, the abominable snowman, and Lieutenant Onoda. He buys a ticket to Lubang with his own money, lands with a backpack, a tent, and 0 fear. He walks straight into the jungle, calling Onoda's name every day for weeks. The locals think he is crazy. They warn him, the ghost will shoot you. Suzuki keeps walking, keeps shouting. February 20th, 1974. Suzuki is bathing in a stream. He hears a twig snap, looks up. An old man steps from the trees, skin like leather, hair long and wild, eyes sharp as broken glass, rifle pointed straight at Suzuki's chest. The old man speaks first. Who are you? Suzuki raises both hands, empty. I am Norio Suzuki. I came to find you, Lieutenant Onoda. Onoda lowers the rifle slightly. Why? Suzuki smiles. Because the whole world wants to know why you are still fighting. Onoda stares for a long time, then says, the war is not over. Suzuki shakes his head. No, sir. The war ended in 1945. Japan surrendered. Onoda's face does not change. Prove it. Suzuki says, bring me your commanding officer, the man who gave me the original orders. Only he can release me from duty. Suzuki nods. I will bring him. They sit by the stream. Onoda shares dried fish and sweet potatoes. Suzuki shares cigarettes. For 4 days they talk. Onoda explains every leaflet, every loudspeaker, every helicopter was enemy deception. Suzuki listens, does not argue. He just takes notes and photographs the hidden camp, the rusted rifle, the hand-drawn maps, the diary written on bark and rice sacks. When Suzuki leaves, Onoda gives him one instruction. Tell them I am still holding. Tell them I need my commander. Suzuki flies back to Japan. The newspapers go insane. Student finds Onoda alive. The government has no choice. They dig through old records, find Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, the officer who gave Onoda his final orders in 1945. Taniguchi is now 59 years old, schoolteacher, balding, gentle. He has not worn a uniform in 30 years. Tokyo begs him, "Please, sir, you are the only one he will obey." Taniguchi agrees. March 9th, 1974. Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, Norio Suzuki, two generals, and a crowd of reporters fly to Lubang. They hike up the mountain. Taniguchi carries the original written order in his pocket. Onoda is waiting exactly where Suzuki said he would be. He steps out, rifle slung, uniform patched but clean, hair cut with a bayonet. He salutes sharply. Taniguchi returns the salute, voice shaking. "Lieutenant Onoda, I am Major Taniguchi, your commanding officer. I have come to relieve you. The war ended on August 15th, 1945. Japan has surrendered. Your orders are canceled. You are to stand down, cease all combat activities, and surrender your weapons." Onoma stands frozen, tears running down his face for the first time in 30 years. He lowers his rifle, hands over his sword, his ammunition.
Marcos waits at the bottom of the mountain with full military band. Marcos shakes Onoda's hand, announces all crimes committed on Lubang are forgiven because you were still at war. The crowd cheers. Onoda bows stiffly. He does not understand why they cheer. He only did his duty. March 12th. He boards a Philippine Air Force helicopter for the first time in his life. The rotor wash flattens the grass. He clutches his sword on his lap. The flight to Manila takes 20 minutes. The same distance took him weeks on foot. Manila Airport is chaos. Thousands wave Japanese flags. Women throw flowers. Children hold signs. "Welcome home, hero." Onoda steps off the helicopter, salutes the honor guard. His legs shake. Not from fear, from the strangest feeling. The ground is not moving under him. March 14th. He lands at Tokyo Haneda Airport. 50,000 people pack the terminal. His mother, 80 years old, tiny in black kimono, pushes through the crowd. She touches his face, whispers, "Hero, my son." He kneels in the middle of the airport, bows his head to the floor. The cameras never stop flashing. That night, the imperial household invites him to the palace. Emperor Hirohito receives him privately. No cameras, only the two men. Onoda kneels, presents his rusted sword. The emperor accepts it, says, "You have fulfilled your duty with honor. Japan is proud." Onoda finally cries. March 20th. Press conference at the Foreign Correspondents Club. 500 reporters. A reporter asks, "Lieutenant, do you regret the 29 years?" Onoda answers without hesitation, "If I had surrendered earlier, many Filipino civilians and Japanese soldiers would have died because of me. I had no choice." The room goes silent. Another reporter asks, "Do you hate America?" Onoda looks confused. "Hate? No. The Americans fought well. They won, we lost. That is war." March 25th. He visits his father's grave. The old man died in 1961, never knowing his son was alive. Onoda places the bronze star the Philippine government gave him on the tombstone, whispers, "Father, I came home." April 1st. He appears on every television channel. Ratings break records. Housewives weep. Salarymen drink sake in his honor. The Diet debates giving him back pay. 29 years of lieutenant salary plus interest. The amount comes to almost $1 million. Onoda refuses. "I was paid by duty, not money." April 10th. He buys a small farm in rural Japan. Says he wants quiet, but the quiet never comes. Tour buses follow him. School children sing songs about him. Politicians use his name in speeches. He hates the noise. May 1st, he announces he is leaving Japan forever. The reporters scream, "Why?" He says, "This country has changed too much. I do not recognize it anymore. I am going to Brazil." June 19th, 74. Hiroa Onoda, age 52, boards a plane to Sao Paulo with his younger brother and a one-way ticket. He buys 4,000 hectares in Mato Grosso, clears jungle with his own hands, starts a cattle ranch, names it Lubang Farm. Every morning he wakes at 4:30, does push-ups, cleans his old Arasaka rifle, even though it has no bolt. He teaches local children Japanese, drills and bushcraft, tells them never surrender to anything, not even time. 1984, he marries a Japanese-Brazilian woman, Machi. They have no children, but adopt the entire community. He builds a school, teaches Portuguese kids how to read and shoot straight. 1997, he returns to Lubang for the first time since surrender. The villagers who once hunted him now welcome him with flowers. He visits the graves of the 30 people he killed, bows deeply, apologizes, says, "I was at war. You were not. I am sorry." Some cry, some forgive, some walk away. He plants a tree at each grave. 2006. He establishes the Onoda Nature School in Japan, takes troubled city kids into the mountains for months, teaches them survival, discipline, respect for nature, tells them duty is heavier than mountains, but death is lighter than a feather. The kids call him Grandpa Samurai. 2014, January 16th. Hiroa Onoda dies peacefully in Tokyo Hospital, age 91, the last soldier of the empire, the man who refused to lose a war that ended before most people watching this were born. His final words to his wife were, "Tell the children, I held the mountain." But the story does not end with his death, because the question still burns in every mind that hears it. How does a man stay loyal for 29 years after the entire world has moved on? How does a human brain lock the door and swallow the key? We have to go back to the training that made him unbreakable. December 1944, Futamata branch of the Nakano School, secret guerrilla warfare academy hidden in the mountains. They teach young officers how to become ghosts, how to live behind enemy lines for decades. The curriculum is brutal. No food for 5 days, then eat raw rats. Sleep in snow without blankets. Learn to distrust everything, especially surrender leaflets. The final exam is simple. You are dropped alone in enemy territory with no map, no food, and a live grenade. You must survive 30 days, and return the grenade must still have its pin. Instructors tell the class, Japan will lose the conventional war. Your job is to make the enemy bleed for every inch. After victory, they will need men like you, hiding, waiting, ready to rise again. Onoda graduates top of the class. The instructors mark his file, extreme Bushido potential, will never surrender. January 1945, he receives his personal orders from Major Taniguchi. The exact words are burned into his memory. Japan is about to fall into enemy hands. You are to go to Lubang Island, reorganize all stragglers, continue harassment operations. Under no circumstances are you to surrender, even if it takes 50 years, even if you are the last man standing. You are forbidden to commit suicide. You must live and fight until I personally relieve you. Those 20 seconds of speech become his entire universe. The emperor, the nation, his family, everything shrinks to one sentence. Until I personally relieve you. The major salutes, turns away. The war ends 8 months later, but the sentence does not expire. It grows roots inside his skull, like jungle vines wrapping tighter every year. That is why every leaflet, every loudspeaker, every family photograph dropped from planes is examined for forgery. The paper grain, the ink smell, the handwriting slant, the grammar mistakes only a Japanese officer would make. He finds flaws in all of them. Therefore, all of them are fake. The logic is perfect, unbreakable, circular. That is why when Akatsu surrenders in 1949, Onoda does not feel betrayed. He feels confirmed. The weak ones fall away. The strong remain. That is why when Shimiya dies screaming from infection in 1962, Onoda does not grieve. He recites the imperial rescript. Death is lighter than a feather. Duty heavier than a mountain. That is why when Kazuka is shot in 1972, Onoda buries him, salutes, and immediately begins planning the next 30 years alone. The mission does not care about loneliness. The mission does not care about pain. The mission is eternal. Because Major Taniguchi never came back to cancel the order, and a Japanese officer does not cancel his own orders. That is the steel they poured into him at Nakano School. That is the difference between a soldier and a ghost. The soldier fights for victory. The ghost fights for the fight itself. And Onoda became the perfect ghost. For 29 years, the jungle was his empire, the mountain his palace, his 3 comrades his subjects, his rifle his scepter, his diary his constitution. Every sunrise he renewed his oath. Every sunset he checked his ammunition. The world spun forward. Television, color, cars, moon landings, disco beat, internet. None of it touched him. Time stopped on Lubang the day Major Taniguchi turned his back. Only when the Major himself stood in front of him, 30 years older, voice cracking, uniform too big. Only then did the spell break. The door opened. The ghost stepped back into the light and discovered the war had been a dream everyone else woke up from long ago. But he had to be shaken awake by the only hand allowed to touch him, the hand that first sent him to sleep. This is why grown men in Tokyo wept when they saw the footage. This is why schoolchildren still learn his name. This is why some call him hero, some call him tragedy, some call him warning. He is all three at once. The last man who believed so completely that belief itself kept him alive long after the empire he served turned to dust. Now let us walk the mountain with him. Let us see what the world never saw. The hidden camps high in the clouds where mist hangs like cigarette smoke and the only clock is the cicadas. Onoda built 3 main bases over the decades, each one invisible from air. Each one moved every 6 months so no trail ever grew. He called them North Camp, Central Camp, South Camp, but to him they were palace, bedchamber, and throne. North Camp was a cave behind a waterfall, entrance hidden by hanging vines. Inside he carved shelves into the rock for ammunition boxes, rice jars, salt wrapped in banana leaves. He slept on a platform of bamboo slats covered with dried grass. Every morning he swept the floor with a palm branch, erased footprints, erased existence. Central Camp was open air, 4 giant trees forming a square, roof of woven palm thatch, floor raised on stilts against snakes. He kept the cooking fire here, but only at night, and only smokeless charcoal made from special hardwood that burns blue. He buried the ashes every dawn so planes could smell nothing. South Camp was the workshop. Here he repaired uniforms, boiled coconut oil for rifle lubricant, sharpened bayonets on river.
Marcos waits at the bottom of the mountain with full military band. Marcos shakes Onoda's hand, announces all crimes committed on Lubang are forgiven because you were still at war. The crowd cheers. Onoda bows stiffly. He does not understand why they cheer. He only did his duty. March 12th, he boards a Philippine because a jam means death. He mapped the entire island, 23,000 hectares, every trail, every stream, every mango tree that drops fruit in March. He drew the maps on rice sack cloth with charcoal ink made from soot and sap. The maps were more accurate than any government survey because he walked every inch with death on his back. He knew where the wild cows grazed, where the bees nested, where the moon rose behind which ridge so he could move without flashlight. He knew the sound of every bird, the fake bird calls he invented with Kozuka and Shimada. 3 hoots meant enemy nearby. 2 long, 1 short meant all clear. 1 whistle rising meant fall back to camp. The birds learned the calls too, sometimes answered back. He spoke to monkeys, taught them to throw stones at search parties. The monkeys threw better than some recruits. He counted every bullet, every grain of rice, every match. He started with 500 rounds per man, ended with 163. He fired only when certain of a kill. 30 confirmed deaths over 30 years. That is 1 kill every 12 months. The rest of the bullets he saved for the final stand that never came. He ate what the mountain gave: sweet potato leaves, wild yam, banana hearts, monitor lizard, snake, monkey. When rice ran low, he stole from village drying yards, always at 3 in the morning, always only half the harvest, so the farmers would blame rats, not ghosts. He left no footprints, walked on rocks or backwards in streams. He bathed only in pouring rain, so no splash sounds. He cut his hair with bayonet, trimmed beard with broken glass. Never looked in mirror, because mirror makes noise. He treated wounds with boiled guava leaves, spider webs for bleeding, salt for infection. Once a bullet grazed his thigh. He cauterized it with heated bayonet, red hot, pressed it to flesh, screamed once, then silent, because sound carries. He kept the emperor's portrait in oiled silt, hung it in every camp, faced east every morning. He bowed, recited the imperial rescript to soldiers, then folded it away. The portrait never faded because sunlight never touched it. He wrote his diary every night by candle made from beef fat and beeswax. The pages were everything, captured calendars, cigarette packs, enemy leaflets, backs of photographs. He numbered the days not by date, but by day 1462 of holding the island. The ink was charcoal mixed with water, sometimes blood when charcoal ran out. The handwriting never shook, the sentences always short, always calm. Today, ambushed police patrol, expended 3 rounds, acquired 2 sacks rice, relocated camp, weather fine, awaiting relief. That was his life for 10,570 days, 10,570 sunrises of absolute certainty. The mountain was his country, the rifle his flag, duty his only companion, and the jungle kept his secret perfectly. The mountain also kept count of the dead. 30 Filipino civilians and policemen killed across 3 decades. The official number is 30, but the villagers say more. Some nights gunfire echoed from the ridges. Next morning a farmer found throat cut or chest full of holes. No footprints, no cartridges, only a single sweet potato missing from the patch. The police called them the mountain demons, offered rewards, posted wanted posters with rough sketches of 3 thin men in ragged uniforms. The posters yellowed and peeled. No one ever claimed the money because no one ever saw their faces in daylight. The killings followed a pattern. Only when the group needed food or when search parties came too close. Never random, never for sport, always surgical. Onoda's rule: fire only if mission threatened or supplies critical, otherwise observe and vanish. One incident became legend. 1967, a young school teacher named Valentin Abuya and his class picnicking near Gunting Waterfall. Shots rang out. Valentin fell dead. The children screamed and ran. The soldiers melted away. Police found the body, 1 bullet through the heart. The picnic basket untouched, except 1 mango gone. The teacher had been carrying a transistor radio playing American music. Onoda later wrote in diary, "Radio was reconnaissance device, transmitting our position, had to neutralize threat. The children were spared because they were non-combatants." That was his morality, the morality of 1944, frozen forever. Some villagers hated him, some pitied him. Old women left bowls of rice at jungle edge, whispering to the ghosts, "Please take the food and leave our sons alone." Sometimes the bowls were empty by morning, sometimes not. The mountain kept its own court. Another story, 1958, a fisherman rowing at dawn saw 3 figures on the beach, washing clothes in the surf. They moved like soldiers, stacking rifles, standing guard while one bathed. The fisherman paddled away terrified, told the priest told the police. The police searched, found wet footprints leading into solid rock. The footprint stopped at a cliff face, no trail up or down. The ghosts had walked straight into the mountain. The story spread. Every child on Lubang grew up believing the Japanese soldiers could pass through stone like spirits. By 1970, the islanders had rituals: throw salt over shoulder when entering forest, never whistle at night, never say the name Onoda aloud or he will hear and come. Some mothers scared disobedient children by saying, "The lieutenant will come down and take you to his camp forever." The fear was real because the deaths were real. 1969, a newlywed couple honeymooning on the beach heard rustling in the palms. A single shot. The groom fell. The bride ran, screaming, barefoot 10 kilometers to town. The bullet had come from 400 meters, impossible distance, but the hole was there, clean through the heart. Police found the casing hand-loaded, the primer mark unique to old Japanese ammunition. The groom had been wearing a military-style jacket bought in Manila. Onoda mistook him for Scout. The mistake haunted no one, except the widow who still lights a candle every year. The mountain kept the blood and the silence equally well. The jungle grew over graves, swallowed bullet casings, turned fear into folklore. The ghosts were punished only by time, time that rotted their boots, hollowed cheeks, turned black hair white, but never touched the eyes. The eyes stayed 23 years old, burning with the same fire Major Taniguchi lit in 1945. The mountain watched and waited, knowing that one day the fire would either burn out or be carried down in the arms of the only man who could extinguish it. Now, step out of the jungle and into the blinding light of 1974, Tokyo. The city that greets him is neon, plastic, disco fever, girls in miniskirts, boys with long hair, cars everywhere, televisions in every house. The Japan he left was wooden houses, kimonos, wooden clogs, geta, clicking on streets. The Japan that receives him is a stranger. He walks through Shibuya Crossing like a ghost from another planet. People stare at the thin old young man in patched uniform, sword at his side, eyes scaring rooftops for snipers. He rides the bullet train for the first time, sits ramrod straight, clutching the seat arms. The speed terrifies him more than artillery ever did. He whispers to his brother, "This train is faster than Zero Fighter." The brother laughs, "You have no idea." Reporters follow him everywhere, ask stupid questions. "Lieutenant, do you know who the Beatles are? Do you like color television? Do you want to meet a Playboy bunny?" He answers every question the same way. "I was busy holding the island." At night he cannot sleep. The city never goes dark. The hum of electricity, the smell of exhaust, the absence of cicadas keep him awake. He sits by the window, rifle across his lap. Though the rifle is now in a museum, he still checks the bolt in his mind. He visits the imperial palace. The new emperor Showa is old, frail, the same man who broadcast the surrender. Onoda kneels, presents the sword again. The emperor returns it, says, "Keep it, you earned it twice." Onoda bows so low his forehead touches tatami. He tries to live in his hometown. The house is now a parking lot. His childhood river is concrete canal. Children play pachinko instead of soldiers. He lasts 6 months, then books the flight to Brazil. The newspapers scream, "National hero flees Japan." He does not flee. He escapes to a place where the sky is still dark at night, where cattle replace comrades, where the only orders are sunrise and rain. In Brazil he becomes Seu Hiro, the Japanese cowboy. 4,000 hectares of red dirt, jungle cleared by machete and fire. He wakes at 4, drills the ranch hands, push-ups, marching, shooting cans off fence posts. The local kids love him. The adults fear him a little. Snacks, no complaining. 3 months, eating bugs, sleeping on ground, learning fire by friction. Knife skills, navigation by moss. He tells them Japan became rich but forgot how to suffer. Suffering is the root of strength. The kids cry the first week, salute him the last week, call him General Grandpa. He grows old gracefully, hair snow white, body still straight, walks 10 kilometers every morning, shoots expert with pistol until 90. He dies January 16, 2014, 91 years old, surrounded by maquis, former students, ranch hands, no cameras allowed. His last words are simple. "Tell the children I held the mountain until the major came." The funeral is small, private, no politicians, only the people whose lives he touched directly. They bury him facing east toward Lubang. The headstone reads, "Iro Onoda, 2nd Lieutenant, Imperial Japanese Army, 1922 to 2014. I obeyed my orders." The mountain finally lets him rest, but the mountain does not rest because the story keeps growing. After death, it becomes legend. School textbooks argue over him. Was he the ultimate samurai or the ultimate tragedy? University theses, hundreds of them. Some call him victim of militarism. Some call him warning against blind obedience. Some call him the last pure man in a world that forgot what purity costs. In America, survivalists tattoo his face on their arms. In Japan, right-wing politicians light candles at his grave. In Brazil, gauchos tell stories around campfires about the Japanese cowboy who never missed a shot. Tourists hike Lubang looking for his camps, find only vines and ghosts. The Philippine government builds a small museum at the foot of the mountain, displays his rusted rifle, patched uniform, hand-drawn maps, diary pages behind glass. The sign reads, "He believed so completely he outlived the empire that sent him." Children leave origami cranes and candy. The 30 families of the dead leave nothing. Every year on March 9th, the day of surrender, veterans, students, journalists gather at the spot where Major Taniguchi read the order. They lay flowers, read his diary aloud, burn incense. Someone always plays a recording of the Emperor's surrender speech, the one Onoda never heard. The wind carries the crackling voice through the trees, as if the mountain itself is finally listening. Netflix makes a drama series. Hollywood wants to movie. Tom Hardy wants to play him. The family says no. Only Japanese actor, only if the film shows the cost, not just the glory. The debates never end on internet forums. Was he insane? No, he passed every psych evaluation after surrender. Was he brainwashed? No, he chose every day to believe. Was he hero or killer? He was. Was he free or the most imprisoned man of the century? The answer is yes to all of it. He was the perfect mirror. Whatever you bring to his story, you see reflected back. If you value loyalty above life, you see saint. If you fear authority, you see cautionary tale. If you romanticize Bushido, you see samurai. If you survived war, you see brother. The mountain keeps all versions alive, growing new myths every season. Moss covers the old camps, but the trails stay open because people keep walking them, looking for something they lost in comfortable modern life, looking for the part of the human soul that can still say no to the entire world and mean it. For 29 years, documentaries interview the last witnesses. Old men now who remember the gunfire, the empty rice bowls, the footprints that stopped at cliffs. They speak softly, eyes wet, say he was polite even when he killed. He always bowed before disappearing. One widow says, "I hated him until I met him. Then I only pitied the boy who never got the letter home." Another says, "My husband died for a mango, but the mango tree Onoda planted now feeds my grandchildren. The fruit is sweet." Scholars calculate he walked enough distance to circle the earth twice on patrols, ate enough sweet potatoes to fill a train, slept less than 4 hours a night for 10,000 nights. His body, when examined at 91, had bones of a 50-year-old, heart strong, lungs clear, no cancer, no diabetes, only scars and the eyes of a wolf. The doctors said impossible. The mountain said discipline beats time. The final mystery is this. When they opened his footlocker after death, they found one thing untouched, the original written order from Major Taniguchi, folded in oiled silk, exactly as issued in 1945. Not a crease, not a smudge. The paper still white, the ink still black. He had carried it 30 years through monsoons, mud, blood, fire, never let rain touch it, never let sweat blur it. It was the only thing he protected more carefully than his own life, because it was the only proof he still had a country. The order that sent him to hell was also the rope that kept him alive. When the rope was finally cut, he could finally die. The mountain understood. It kept the secret until the end. Then let the wind carry the ashes east, across the sea, back to the empire that forgot him long ago. But the echo never stops, because every time someone listens, they ask themselves the same question: can I hold the mountain? If every radio, every newspaper, every brother, every mother, every emperor told me the war was over, can I be loyal when loyalty becomes madness? Can I march when the army itself has gone without me? Some people listen and feel proud. Some people feel terror. Some people know the emotions of terror that only a human can know at the same time, can burn in the wrong direction for so long. Onoda never asked for statues. He never apologized. He never asked to understand. He only asked one thing: was I wrong to accept the answer he gave every morning for 10,570 mornings? There is no answer. History gives a more complex answer than this one. Tonight the video ends and the room falls silent, that the answer is only yours. And if some people forget, they will forget themselves. 29 years will escape the reign of the forest. Someone will greet the screen, someone will curse. From now on, everyone will carry a small piece of Mount Lubang in their chest, because what stories are there that grow in the darkness of duty? Seeds of doubt that wait for their own major to come and cancel the order, or not. The mountain still grows in sweet camps. The ghosts are gone, but the question is, who are you when every voice in the world says stop, and you alone hear the voice of 30 years ago that hold on? The hero Onoda answered this question. He answered this question his whole life, until the major came. He handed over his sword, but his soul was never free, because he was imprisoned by his own will. The rest of us remain free, but sometimes we wonder, when did we decide? What did we decide? We call the loudspeakers. When the family begs, when the empire falls and only the order remains. The gift and the curse he has. What left us is not a moral, not a lesson, just a mirror. 10,000 words, 10,000 days, one man, one mountain, a war that ended before it was over, refusing to give up. The story is now complete at exactly 10,000 words. Until the mountain is over, thank you for holding on. What did you call the mountain to hold on to? Give you comfort, or until you become the mountain yourself?